Deep within the heart of Ireland lies an underworld empire of organized crime. This saga's origins are rooted in the audacious ambition of a father, a mastermind who set the gears in motion. And now, in the present day, the reins of power are firmly gripped by his successor, his very own son, the cartel kingpin himself, Daniel Kinahan. Welcome to a new episode from the narcotic underworld. In this episode, we will delve into a most dangerous kingpin story, Daniel Kinahan's, covering every facet, ranging from their rise to power, their conflicts and rivalries, their involvement with a super cartel, and the intricate sequence of events that culminated in their inclusion on the world's most wanted list. Daniel Kinahan is the leader of the Kinahan Cartel, or Kinahan Organized Crime Group, which evolved from a local Dublin gang into Ireland's foremost and internationally recognized criminal organization. As of today, this international criminal syndicate stands alongside the likes of Italy's Camorra, Mexico's Los Zetas, Japan's Yakuza, and Russia's thieves-in-law, with a 15 million bounty on their heads. The cartel's reach extends to the United Kingdom, Spain, and the United Arab Emirates as well. Various reports suggest their amassed wealth could be as high as $1 billion. Notably, the Kinahan Cartel has been engaged in an ongoing feud with the Hutch gang since 2015. On April 12, 2022, the United States Department of State declared the offering of rewards of up to $5 million under the Narcotics Rewards Program for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of Kinahan family members. This reward program is a joint effort involving the Garda Síochána, National Crime Agency, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. The 7 key members targeted by this initiative were identified as our leader himself, Daniel Kinahan, his father, Christopher Kinahan, his little brother, Christopher Kinahan Jr., Bernard Clancy, Sean McGovern, Daniel Kinahan's advisor and confidant, Johnny Cash Morrissey, a former KOCG enforcer now operating as a money launderer in Marbella and convicted of 38 murders, and Ian Dixon, who was arrested in connection with the 2015 murder of Gary Hutch in Costa del Sol but was never formally charged. It was a part of various bloody feud between the Hutch and Kinahan that we will discuss more down the road. The Kinahan Cartel, a specter of malevolence, was not merely a criminal syndicate. It was a remorseless predator responsible for a dozen lives extinguished in cold blood. Horn's voice resonated with an eerie calm as he unveiled the cartel's sinister machinations, an intricate web of subterfuge woven with ruthless precision to evade the vigilant gaze of law enforcement. But now the tables have turned. The U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, emerged as a formidable instrument of retribution, its mandate clear and unequivocal. The cartel's assets, like iron chains forged in the fires of justice, would be frozen and seized, every tainted penny traced and clutched in the talons of the law. The announcement rippled through the room like an unstoppable force, leaving no doubt that this time the cartel's impunity would crumble. The launch of a substantial reward program by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, supported by collaborative efforts with the National Crime Agency, NCA, and the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, could lead to the downfall of the Kinahan Cartel through financial pressure, asset freezing, informant incentives, enhanced intelligence sharing, the global reach of OFAC, and public deterrence. By disrupting the cartel's financial operations, encouraging informants to come forward, and utilizing international cooperation to target their assets and leaders, this initiative aims to undermine the organization's viability, weaken its infrastructure, and foster internal instability, potentially leading to its eventual downfall. Now that you are familiar with current affairs, let's turn our attention back to the topic at hand. Daniel Kinahan. Born on June 25, 1977, in the bustling heart of Dublin, Daniel Kinahan entered the world as the eldest son of Christy Kinahan and John Boylan, who passed away in 2014. Kinahan claims he was raised in a low-income neighborhood with high levels of poverty and crime, which sparked his interest in boxing. People like me from there aren't expected to do anything with their lives other than serve the middle and upper classes, he said. Boxing is a working-class sport for which I've had a lifelong love and passion. Kinahan's formative years unfolded in the gritty embrace of Tallaght before he later returned to Dublin, taking residence in the Oliver Bond Flats nestled within the Liberties, an area shrouded in tales of its own. But Kinahan's life was far from ordinary. It was marked by a series of events that would etch his name into the annals of infamy. In a twist of fate that mirrored the ruthlessness of his surroundings, at a mere 23 years of age, Kinahan found himself at the center of a storm. He was one of the 5 individuals ensnared in the clutches of law enforcement and implicated in a vicious attack on 2 Irish police officers outside Shelbourne Park Greyhound Stadium in May 2001. The gravity of the situation was evident as he faced charges of assault while standing before the Dublin District Court, a mere pawn in a high-stakes game. His request for bail was denied, painting a grim portrait of the road ahead. Charges were dropped the next year. Now, to comprehend the Daniel Cartel's criminal ascendancy, it's imperative to rewind several decades to 1990, when Daniel's father began his rise as a burgeoning figure in local crime in Dublin. Christopher Vincent Kinahan, commonly recognized as Christy, the dapper Don Kinahan, emerges as a captivating figure in his own right. In 1986, he found himself entangled in a heroin-related incident where a substantial haul worth $117,000 of the illicit substance was seized, a monumental quantity during that era. Consequently, he was sentenced to a 6-year term of incarceration. Contrary to expectations, Kinahan didn't let his days languish unproductively behind bars. Demonstrating his astute intellect, he pursued 2 degrees during his imprisonment, a testament to his drive and determination. Remarkably, he declined the prospect of early release, driven by his commitment to accomplishing his academic pursuits. Beyond his academic accomplishments, Kinahan took it upon himself to master both Spanish and Dutch. It is widely believed that he is proficient in 5 languages, a skill that notably facilitated his establishment of international connections within the underworld milieu. It's pertinent to note that Christy Kinahan's trajectory did not inherently steer toward a life of criminality. Rather, he consciously elected this path. Originating from a middle-class upbringing, he attended one of Ireland's most prestigious educational institutions. Unfortunately, his initial brush with law enforcement during the 1980s diverted him from the course of lawful living, and he found himself entangled in the world of crime once more. In reality, he became increasingly connected with the criminal underworld when he began to elevate smuggling into a highly significant enterprise due to his ambitious goals. His intentions were substantial. As for his sons Daniel and Christy Jr., they were essentially drawn into his business without much say, as their father seamlessly integrated them into his operations. In recent years, Daniel has emerged as a prominent figure and leader of the Kinahan criminal group, but he chose to present himself as a sports promoter. This endeavor began in 2012 when he established MGM, which he later rebranded as MTK Global. The acronym MGM originally stood for Macklin's Gym Marbella. Despite the distinction, the well-known MGM Grand Resort and Casino in Las Vegas did not perceive the difference in names favorably. This led to a naming conflict, prompting Daniel to rename his venture MTK Global. Over time, he transformed it into a company that managed and promoted boxing and mixed martial arts events. He even secured a contract with heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury at one point. Despite his efforts to distance himself from his criminal connections through his sports endeavors, MTK Global's reputation remained linked to his underworld activities. Consequently, he eventually stepped down from his position within the company. However, he retained a prominent role in the boxing realm. Tyson Fury openly acknowledged Daniel for his role in brokering the agreement for the 2020 fight between Fury and Anthony Joshua. Nonetheless, due to Daniel's criminal affiliations, MTK Global struggled to achieve significant success, ultimately leading to the seizure of their operations in April 2022. Hutch Kinahan feuds. Behind this facet of MTK Global, something much grittier and bloodier happened: the Hutch Kinahan feud. The feud is a twisted saga of blood and bullets that unfurled in 2015 marked by bloodshed and vengeance, as Gary Hutch, a blood relative of the notorious Jerry the Monk Hutch, was mercilessly cut down by the Kinahan syndicate under the ruthless leadership of Daniel Kinahan. In a chilling twist of suspicion, Daniel Kinahan branded Gary as a spy, a death sentence backed by suspicion alone. In an act of desperation and sibling loyalty, Patrick Hutch, Gary's own flesh and blood, offered up his own flesh, allowing himself to be marked by a bullet from Daniel Kinahan, a sinister gesture to shield his kin from the looming threat. This unending vendetta has painted a canvas of tragedy, with the lives of 18 souls extinguished in its relentless pursuit, their fates intertwined with the inescapable darkness of this conflict. Among the casualties, innocent bystanders have fallen, collateral damage to a war they never signed up for. The atmosphere of fear and violence stemming from the conflict has had dire consequences, extending to the country's economy and hindering law enforcement's ability to address